intro.
Yep. Welcome to this episode of 50% Facts. I'm Jim.
Hello, I'm Michael.
That's Michael. Michael. And we're here with Ryan Thompson, who happens to be my plumber. And he has an interesting story and an interesting perspective. And I thought, well, what the hell? Why not have him on and talk about where he is and how he got there? And a thing that always gets me is that people don't necessarily know what they want to do in life. Number one, they often choose, even going to college, they often choose a major, a concentration or whatever that doesn't necessarily lead to making any money or paying off their student loans or whatever. And people often bypass the idea of doing, something in the trades that actually it can be very lucrative. It can be very lucrative if you've actually had any work done to your house or whatever. That it's not cheap to do that stuff. And
job wise, you know what you're doing. All right, at least I'm going into this trade. You know what that trade is. I'm going to be cooking all day.
Yeah.
Or if you go to college or anywhere and you're like, well, I like history. What job is history going to be day to day that's going to make you money? Or business even. Mm-hmm. Everyone's a fucking business major. Mm-hmm. But do you like doing business? Because what you're learning in school will be 10% of actually running a business.
Yeah.
The admin stuff and the taxes and whatever. Actually running a business is, you mentioned offers, just problem solving, similar to your job. That's running a business. Find a problem, put it out. Find a fire, put it out. Hopefully optimize along the way. But every job I've ever heard of, or every friend I ever had that went to college, never you don't know what the taste of the work is.
Yeah, typically, unless you have a good internship or something like that.
Yeah, but that's not even college.
And
even,
right?
That's an internship. That's when you get a job, you get a taste of it.
Yeah, yeah.
But then by then, it's already too late. You're already 200K in the tank.
Yeah, in the hole, right?
Yeah, you're fucked.
I'm sorry, I just had to text my wife and tell her to sign our taxes. I'd done it, but...
Well, that's right. Tax day's coming up.
Yeah. No,
it's 4 days, ladies and gentlemen.
I signed it, but I forgot that she had to sign it too. And she just, I think, ignored the email. Anyway, so Ryan, tell us, what are you doing now? And then how'd you get here?
So, yeah, I'm Ryan. I'm the owner of Rhino Rooter Plumbing. And... man, it's been quite the journey, I got to say. And, what's cool is when you meet someone, you never know where they've been, what they are, and what you can teach them and what they can teach you. And, so I admire that about life. You just never know who's on the other end of the phone. Yeah. You know what I mean? But for me, right, I opened up my plumbing company last year in April. So it's great timing. I just finished my year-to-year last week.
Nice.
Yeah. The bar has been set. The number was higher than I ever could have expected, honestly. I am so blessed beyond my wildest dreams. Plumbing has provided me a way to teach my family morals and values and how to be a good person. I have 2 daughters. I have a 2 and a 3-year-old. And being a dad is another part of life that I, truly admire. Being a parent, has just made me a better person. Being a plumber has made me a better person. Being a business owner has made me a better person. And all of that being said, right, I got to this destination and this goal of mine to open the business. And it turned out that I've been very, very, very successful at it. And I take a step back and I ask my dad, I ask my mentors, why? I'm nothing special. You know what I mean? I'm just willing to do what's needed to be done every day. At the end of the day, I got 7 years experience in plumbing. And I'll tell you the story here as it goes on, but it fell in my lap. It literally fell in my lap. I had a guy come into the gas station and be like, "What the fuck are you doing working here, bro?" And I had to tell him my story because it was surface level stuff every day. It was my boss, the guy I ended up working for. And he would be like, "Let me get $100 on 5. I'll see you later." After 5 years of that, he goes, "What are you doing, bro? You're kind of sandbagging it here at the gas station." I had to tell him my stories. Well, I got 3 DUIs and I'm blah, 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 blah. I'm finishing my school. I'm getting my DUI program done. He goes, "All right, you got your car, you got your license?" And I'm like, yes. Here's the leap of faith. He goes, quit your job, put your 2 weeks in, come work for me. This is literally quote unquote what he said. Put your 2 weeks in, work for me, buy boots, show up to my house on Monday, and I'll teach you the trade. And after 4 years, I'll sign you off, and you can have what I have.
And he's just a random
Random
pumper
dude. Random
that
dude.
you've seen a couple times.
Yeah,
Wow.
like your gas station guy.
Yeah,
you guys
regular.
probably have a gas station you go to every day.
Yeah.
What's up, Joe?
Yeah,
let me get 100 on 5. Let me get my candy bar, a pack of, if you're whatever you get, right? And you're going. You see this dude every day. You know what I mean? So what's crazy is like that dude's asking you, quit your job, come work for me. Right? So here's the fact. I was making $13 an hour at the gas station. He said, I'll pay you $15 an hour cash under the table. I'm like, bet. That's a $2 raise. And I'm going to.
And a 40% come up.
And right.
Yeah.
And really more than that, because he's buying my lunch. He's paying me under the table, right? So no taxes.
Yeah.
Anyways.
IRS, we're just kidding.
You
Yes,
didn't hear
this is
nothing.
all-
Yeah.
This is all theoretical.
Yeah, we're just kidding on that
You
one.
never heard
Yeah.
that.
Allegedly.
Right.
It was 20 years ago in a
Yeah,
book.
exactly.
So I make
Statute of limitations is right.
I make that leap of faith, and there was a gamble. I don't know if I'm gonna be good at this or bad at this. I didn't know anything about plumbing. All I knew was hot's on the left, cold's on the right, water goes downhill.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know anything else.
That's
you know
about
what I mean?
where I'm at.
So I made that leap of faith, and I quit my job. I put my 2 weeks in, and I ended that chapter on a high note.
Were you ever sketched out? Like, why'd this dude choose me?
I was, and
That's how I feel with everything. Every thing, I'm like, well, why is this guy talking to me right now?
So his need for me was out of necessity.
Okay.
Truth be told, his guy was going away for a vacation for a while. And he needed a new guy. And he literally was pumping his gas.
He went to jail?
He was going to jail.
Oh,
he had
okay,
to turn
okay,
himself
okay,
in.
okay,
And he literally was pumping his gas. And you know how gas station windows have like clear windows?
Yeah.
From he's pumping his gas. He looks inside and he sees me. And at the time, I had been working out a lot, and I was like at the peak of my performance. I was 195 pounds, 6% body fat, just shredded. And he saw me literally busting out of my shell shirt, and his quote unquote rules was, if you could talk, if you could pull, if you were a good looking dude, you would be a great plumber. Because you need to be able to talk, you need to be able to have mechanical aptitude, you need to be able to look and relate with people.
Yeah.
You could be the best plumber in the world, but if you can't talk, you never get to show your skills off, because if you can't sell, right?
That's everything.
So he taught me that.
Yeah, presentation. People call it like shallow, but I mean, that's how you get your foot in the door anywhere.
You know, so I found out that I was good at that. And the reason I was good at that was cut from that gas station. So 8 months in, it took me 8 months. I rode with my boss every day in a van. Showed up to his house with those boots. He taught me the trade. And after 8 months, he threw me in a van. And how it
You got an
worked.
emergency plumbing job.
Phones are always ringing. And how it worked is after 8 months, he put me in a van and he would tell me to go run calls. And I started running calls. And then I found out after a year or two that I was really good at plumbing. Best plumbers in the world are tall, skinny guys, because I can get to places that the
I'm out.
bigger guy couldn't. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Whereas that bigger guy can lift more than me, but there is a trade-off in everything, right? I'm agile in an attic. I can move really good underneath a house. So my days of walking around at 200 pounds, I've accepted, I think, are kind of behind me.
Sure.
That experience was beautiful for what it was. And I learned a lot, you know, when I first got sober. That's another part of my story. I just rolled over. June will be 11 years for me, alcohol-free.
Nice, man. Congrats.
So it's been a decade, right, of personal growth, working on my internal issues to be better, to be the best version of myself for me, for my daughters, for my family, all of it, right? And that's going back to what I said at the beginning, like you never know who you're meeting and who's on the other end of the phone and what they've been through, right? Like every part of my story plays a role today. That gas station, my DUIs, my bottom, you know, that my bottom when I was broken was beautiful, you know, because the only way up is up.
yeah.
Right? So like it was a terrible part of my life after my third DUI, but it was also the beginning of the most beautiful ride and journey I could ever imagine. Because at my bottom, when I got out of jail for my third DUI, I was so broken mentally and internally, I was defeated. I was embarrassed and shamed, and like any emotion you could have, I had. And I had nowhere to go. And so I went to my grandma's house in Newcastle. I had nowhere to go. I burned a lot of bridges. Nobody wanted me. So my grandma took me in, and I got down on my hands and knees that night. And this is my spiritual awakening. I prayed out loud, and I went to sleep. And what's crazy is when I woke up, nothing changed, but everything changed. And all I knew, everything was going to be okay as long as I didn't drink for 1 hour, 1 day, 1 week. And it just became a string of days, which catapulted me down this road of personal growth. And it became, at first, get sober, get a job. I got the job at Shell. A couple years later of getting my license back and all this, plumbing fell in my lap. And then I go down this path of plumbing, and I worked for him for 5 years. I became his lead tech. I made him a lot of money. I generated him like 1.2 after 5 years. And the road is the pipe dream, quote unquote, is, right? The pipe dream he sold me is after 4 years, contractors need 4 years. And once you have 10,000 hours, you can test out and you get your contractor's license. And so that's exactly what I did.
What's it take to get in the door? So like first step to be a plumber. Do you need a certification? Do you need a test? Do you just need a guy to...
So he poached me from the gas station.
Yeah.
So high school diploma would be like bare minimum.
Yeah.
But not even that, you know what I mean? Like you just need someone willing to take a chance on you and put all their knowledge inside of you and give you the ability to elevate you to get to that place to take that test.
So he has to be certified though.
So you need, yes. So like for me, I'm looking for my apprentice one day. And what's crazy is full circle. I'm looking for myself 7 years ago at that gas station.
Sure.
I'm looking for some young kid, hungry, doesn't know what to do with life. And I'm going to be like, yo, kid, come work for me. I'm going to give you the blueprint. I'm going to give you the map. Work for me for 4 years, and I will sign you up. I mean, I'm going to do this exact same thing my boss did for me to someone else, and to teach this beautiful trade, to keep this world going around. Like, we all have roles to play.
Yeah.
The fireman, the EMT, like, everyone has the role to play. And in my world, everything's an emergency, right? I heard this quote the other day, like, you know what America is without plumbing? It's a third world country.
Yeah.
It makes,
True
right?
enough.
We need that. Like,
sure.
Good luck living in your home without running water, flushing toilets, hot water. So I got so lucky that plumbing fell in my lap. And I found through COVID that we are essential. If anything, we sped up during COVID. Because guess what? When everyone's at work using their bathrooms, your home is used to that. If you think of it like that. Now everyone's at home.
More shit.
More shit, more water.
For sure.
Failing faster. So if anything, we sped up. And now everyone was home with all this money and all this time, and they were like, hey, I'm going to do this faucet. I'm going to do this project I've been wanting to. I want it. Now they have the time to do it.
Yeah.
So COVID was a great example of essential workers. You're getting nothing but busier.
Sure.
And here's the I don't know how much of these videos you've seen on Instagram or not, but the average age in my industry in plumbing is 55.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of old timers that are retiring, and every 7 that retire, there's one of me to come replace.
So everyone else is TikToking.
So yeah,
They wanna
everyone
be a
wants to be.
dancer.
That's the goal. That's what we're hovering around. Everyone wants to be an influencer
It's
nowadays.
wild.
Nobody wants to work hard, right? And
Yeah,
that's
there's
where
literal
I come in.
data on that too. They like interviewed every student, and like it's like 80% or something wild wants to become TikTok famous.
We want it easy,
Yeah.
right? And who can blame them, right?
And it's
But-
not even easy. They don't even know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
they
you
don't even
what's-
know because there's so much luck involved, and then so much snakery happening.
And dude, timing is another phase in life. If I met you 2 years ago, I'm still working for the guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I met you 5 years from now, maybe everything has changed. So timing, and that's true for business, relationships, everything, kids, like timing is huge, you know, lucky, being at the right time, the right place.
Yeah.
That's another side, you know, of it. And like, dude, I don't know like what you guys think spiritually, but when you're in the right time at the right place, was that meant to be design? Who knows, right?
Yeah. But there's something.
So yeah, living with the glass half full. When I meet people like that, I'm in the right place at the right time, and I'm right where I'm supposed to be, right? So now that I have my craft, now that I was called. I didn't know what to do with my life. That was my biggest downfall. I had so many gifts. I could have been this or that or this or that. I didn't care what I was, as long as I could provide for my family, and you know how lucky I was that I turned out to be good at my job. I love what I do, right? Like if you're good at something and you hate your job, imagine how good you'll be if you love what you do.
For sure.
So I'm so lucky, you know, I was a wrestler background, a state qualifying wrestler. I owe a lot of my viewpoints and mindset to my sports background, right? Like being a wrestlers, football players, rugby players, lacrosse, them 4 sports are above all, I think some of the most tested athletes.
Yeah, wrestlers for
in
sure.
high school.
Yeah, wrestlers for sure.
I mean, any conditioning is tough.
Yeah.
But wrestling conditioning I was a soccer player, varsity 4 years, blew soccer conditioning out the water.
Yeah, I think the only other ones maybe boxing. Boxing or wrestling are probably the tough two sons of bitches out there.
Right. And in high school, I went to Oakmont High School. They didn't have lacrosse or rugby, but I found wrestling.
Yeah.
And wrestling, I was great at it.
Even that's kind of rare on the West Coast. It's
Right.
way less common.
Right. Wrestling was cool too, and unique. It's a team sport, but you individual at the same time.
Sure.
So you might win your match, or lose your match, but we'll win as a team. So like, I think Oakmont lost one league match in 4 years against Deloro. Deloro was a powerhouse.
Yeah, there's some big fucks out there.
But anyways, the sports background gave me the ability and the mindset to just push through anything hard. Like, think of David Goggins. I really admire David Goggins. Like, you hear some of the Joe Rogan stuff. There is beauty in pain. You know what I mean? Like, in the struggle. Get used to the suck. You know what I mean? Like, being in that moment of wrestling conditioning, of one more rep, push through, and you don't want to, but you do. It just is a good underlining example of how that builds resilience. It adds to your character. And when you do it for years, oh my God, it makes you so tough. So that in real world application, when you come across a hurdle, something hard, an obstacle, you're going to blow right through it. And so that's my mindset. Like, I do not see problems. I just see opportunity everywhere I go. There's a problem. I know how to fix that. The key is relating to people, right? The key is building trust in someone. And that comes from, I've been doing this for 6-7 years now. I know what I'm talking about, right? And the other side of it in business is like, if I hear my dad in my head, something's only worth what someone's willing to pay. Straight up, right? I use Pokemon cards as a great example. I'm all into Prism basketball cards, trading and buying these. It's a piece of cardboard.
Yeah.
To you, to me, if you're not a collector, it's $1.
Yeah.
50 cents. But to someone else, it's $1 million card.
Yeah.
Right? Same thing
Didn't
with
Post Malone buy it? What was that one card? There's like 1 in a trillion Pikachu card.
And I know Jake Paul has one that he wears on his necklace. It's $1 million card to him.
Yeah, I think Post has like the rarest card of all time. Some dude pulled it in like Toronto and he hit him up and bought it.
That's sick.
Yeah, just paid the guy like $5 million.
But you can translate that to anything, right?
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
If the gym membership is $1,000, there are some people that find value in that. There are some people that's like, you're crazy, I'm going over here, right?
For sure.
So same in my world. If my plumbing price is so high, people can't grab it, I'll never be busy. But on the flip side, if mine too low, I'm going to be so busy. Maybe you raise your price. You know what I mean? So it's kind of a balance, right? Like, I don't want to say the wrong thing, but like in theory, in business, like you want to get as much as you can that you can sleep good at night, make your profit. We all open businesses to make money, right?
Yeah. So with giving the same value that you agree upon.
Yeah.
Because
So
you're going to sell what you think it's worth as well too. Because it's a double door.
And I get it all the time. Where, for example, I'll tell you right now, my drain cleaning price $235, standard drain cleaning price. Some people think, oh, wow, that's a little high. Is it? All you got to do is go buy a $10,000 van, fill it with $30,000 worth of tools, spend 6 years mastering drain cleaning.
Yeah, do it yourself.
So you do, that's all you got to do, dad, homeowner, whatever, right? So like in perspective, anyone who's paying anyone for anything, you're paying for the guarantee, the warranty, the knowledge, the tools, the ability to know how to fix something if shit hits the fan.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what my experience is paying for. I've been there, done that, done it the hard way, learned that lesson. What happens to an angle stop or a nipple when it snaps off in the wall? Like I did an angle stop at Jim's house.
Yes.
And that was my first job for you was with the angle stop.
Yeah.
And great example. You maybe could have done that job yourself, but worst case scenario, if that broke in the wall and the water's on, whatever, now what?
Yeah, that would have been a problem. Considering that the wall is tiled and all of that, it would have been an enormous pain in the ass to try to fix it. I should actually probably tell the story at this point. When this thing happened, I was trying to solve a problem with a leaky faucet. It's like, well, it's time to replace this faucet anyway, so I'm just going to get a new one. And so when I went to take the supply hose off of one side, like on the hot side,
It didn't
it just
close?
crumbled. It just like the end of it crumbled, and there was no way to get the hose back on without it leaking everywhere. And I called Ryan because my daughter-in-law Meredith had dealt with him when she was doing property management
At the other company.
Yeah, when you were with the other guy, and I called you, and it was your anniversary.
That's right.
And you were like, oh man, it's my anniversary, but like I can come. It's like, fuck no. Come later. You don't have to like put everything down and disappoint your wife. Well, I don't know if I don't know.
Good call, by the way.
Yeah.
Good advice.
Yeah, my wife was like, he offered to do what? And I said, yeah, and I told him no.
Yeah, I came the next day.
Yeah, next morning, even earlier than I had anticipated, and solved the problem, and it was great. And then we've since then replaced my on-demand water heater.
The tankless. Yeah. How's that running, by the way? Everything good?
Yeah, everything is good. I think it gets hot a little slower than the other one did, but it doesn't make that terrible sound that the other one made. But that's actually I've talked to several people since then who said that is the brand, that is the one you want.
That's it. Yeah. We did good on that.
We absolutely did.
And that's right there. That little piece of that story is a great example of just networking. You know what I mean? Like you never know when that person is coming back into your life, how they can help you, how you can help them. You know what I mean? Be of service for each other. And I remember working with Meredith back when she was with that other property management company, and it's just like, I know a guy, and by that time I was out on my own, and it's just good timing.
Yeah, she still maintains a list of people that she worked with, and if I need something, I will sometimes ask, do you have anybody on your list that
like, I know a guy?
Yes. And it's like, oh yeah, here's this number. So
let's rewind a bit. You talked about sports playing a role in kind of your work ethic or just staying consistent with stuff. But what was the gap, right? So you're an athlete, so you're 17, 18 in high school, and it sounds like the work ethic, the consistency popped off when you started plumbing. But what about those 10 years in between? Were you not tapped into consistency or hard work, or was there another mission you had during those years? You mentioned DUIs.
So that ties in with the partying aspect, right? So in high school, it was all about sports and girls and my friends.
I mean, life is really just about sports and girls anyways.
And sports, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, like when you look back on it, like high school's a great place. If only we appreciated it in the moment. You don't pay for anything. You don't even know what a bill is. Yeah. All you got to do is show up, enjoy high school with your friends, hang out with you know what I mean, and play sports. Yeah. Like, so then I graduated high school, and it was like, all right, now what? I found myself at Sierra College. Didn't know what to do with my life. And that was one of my greatest downfalls. What do I do? So I took business class after business class after business class. Generic. Ended up partying somewhere along the way as I'm 20, I'm 21. I get my first DUI, second DUI. And at that point, I kind of had to drop out of school. Because you'll still have your license when you get your DUI. But once you start going through court and stuff, eventually you get it pulled from you. And you have to go through a program, and to get your license reinstated you have to prove all this stuff. So anyways, long story short, I couldn't get to school anymore, so I kind of dropped out, and then I was really just partying, full-time partying, and it got like out of control. Met with the wrong people, the wrong time, the wrong place, and before I know it, I was 22, 23 years old with 3 DUIs, and that is my bottom. And at that point, you could say, I mean, I've always been physically active in anything, wakeboarding, any ball sport we're playing, and I'm going to want to win. Right. And that dog just comes from sports.
Yeah.
That competitive fire is never going to go away. And that plays a role in plumbing. Because when I opened my business, it really wasn't my decision. And I woke up to a text message from my boss after 5 years of working with him. He fired me via text message. And he let me go with no notice on a Sunday, with a paragraph-long message that said something like, Ryan, I've seen you go from my worst employee to my best employee, and you are ready, and I feel like a dad kicking your son out into the world. That's what he said. And I'm like, fuck you, thanks. Like, no notice, no heads up. But he was right. I was ready, and what a good testament to myself of sink or swim, put up or shut up, or go work for someone else.
Yeah.
Right? And it came from my background, my willing to overcome, my hunger. I was fired up, and you have to be, right? Like, it was so scary to read that text message and go from lead tech to owner operator in a day. And then to find out in this last year of business that I did it gracefully with 2 girls and planning a wedding and a wife, and like, you do the best you can with what you got. It's my motto in life, you know, like, and what's crazy is and I love this line, everything you need to know to run a business, you've already learned in 1st grade.
Sure.
The golden rule, treat others how you want to be treated. That small rule takes me so far in life. Just by sitting here, if I'm at your house, I'm going to treat that house like my house, right? I'm going to do it as if, what would I appreciate? Well, I would appreciate someone telling me this or that, looking out for me, whether it's they're paying for it or not. You know what I mean? Just honest advice, being solid, being good. And when I get compliments to myself, it's a reflection of my parents. I'm just doing what my mom and my dad taught me to do, you know, to be of service, to be kind, to be honest, to be fair. What's crazy is on my stories, I've picked up a little from here, a little there, a little customer service from the gas station, a little bit of will and like passion from sports, like just being committed, consistency. Like it taught me discipline, dedication, camaraderie. It taught me when I'm done with my 2-hour wrestling practice and I wasn't eating food, to go put on a plastic trash bag and run for 2 more hours when I'm tired. You think I wanted to do that? You think I wanted to wake up at 4 a.m? No, but I did it, and I ended up getting a partial ride scholarship. It was great sacrifice, and it turned out to be humbling experience, and I still carry all of those tools with me today, and it all comes from sports and all of my failure, you know, and it's okay to fail. Like, I used to be embarrassed that I fail and have 3 DUIs. It's okay. What'd you learn? What did you learn not to do? And you can't buy experience. Like, I could tell you my story. I could tell you don't drink and drive. I could tell you all these things, but sometimes you have to go out and fail and learn it the hard way.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's okay.
That's the only way to learn, because you just don't feel it. Like, as empathetic as you want to be or think you are, like, you can't feel someone else's failure.
Mm-hmm.
You know? You can like see it and maybe learn, but you really got to fuck up. I don't know if you know Hormozy. He's kind of a business entrepreneur, kind of in the fitness space, but now he does a ton of business. And he says that like his tuition, I don't know if he went to college or not, but he said his tuition is like failed businesses. You know, he spent $5,000, he failed that business. Well, that's a $5,000 lesson. Right?
You learned.
Yeah, which is like, especially nowadays, schooling costs so much. Like, well, it's kind of a cheap lesson versus, you know, years in a university, and now you're $100,000 deep. I do think the 2 things that you mentioned a bunch are working at that gas station and sports are just so important. It's things that seem to be less common now. Like, and I say the same thing. Like, working a job when you're in high school or college, like learning customer service, and it's kind of got to be a shit job. You know, I worked at a commercial gym, front desk, passing out towels and wipe down sweat all day. I worked like, I ran basketball leagues and like refereed for whatever dollars I could get, and you got to deal with parents. I literally had parents recording games on iPads bitching at me about calls I made. I'm like, bruh, we're not the NBA, you know, whatever. But you got to deal with customer service, and you got to learn by doing it. And you're not going to learn by, you know, working on Wall Street. You got to go do something shitty with angry, shitty people. And then sports. Yeah, like the work ethic and camaraderie, and like, because teamwork and customer service both are like communication, but they're different forms of communication in a way, and you got to kind of mesh with one and kind of be kind with the other, or more empathetic with the other. Like you mentioned, how would I like my household to be dealt with and worked with? But I feel like so many people don't do either of those things anymore. You know, they didn't play sports and they go to college, and then they're expecting to have like a big boy job. Like, well, you just don't really have like the tools necessary. Like, it's not really knowledge. It really is like tools and experience.
You know, it really is. And I love this. I'll leave you with this one right here. Check this out. So it says, when times are tough, it creates tough men, right? So I think of the Great Depression. Everyone in the Great Depression was tough, fucking hard. They made it through those times. They had to do whatever.
They had to go to World War II.
They scavenged whatever, right?
So then, great times ahead.
Then when times are easy, it creates weak men.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And we're at the end of that cycle right now with this generation. Everyone wants it easy. No one wants to work hard. Like 100 years ago, when you had to plow your field, get your horses and your mules and go it'd take a week.
Yeah.
Even now, get in your air-conditioned tractor, listen to your radio. It's still hard. You know what I mean? It's like, so the more advancements we have in technology, kind of the weaker we become, right? So I love that quote, when times are tough, it creates hard men, and hard men create easy times, and then easy times create weak men. Weak men create hard times. It's a circle. You know what I mean? But yeah, there's
too much comfort.
Yeah, you know, and I mean, we see it. You ever see those physical education videos from the 70s?
Yeah, yeah.
Every single one of them was going across the monkey bars.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy.
Look at it in the 90s.
I don't even think
2010s.
is it a California that stopped it? Like a bunch of states are looking at pulling back.
The president's physical fitness test thing?
Maybe not even
Or-
the fitness test, but like pulling back funding on a bunch of physical activities and sports.
I don't know why, because there's something to that. You know what I
for
mean?
sure.
Yeah.
It teaches
sure.
kids important lessons. You know, it gives you perspective on things, you know, and,
Yeah.
and it's a good underlying if you want something and you work hard enough, long enough, like pay off. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
Kobe Bryant used to shoot, 10,000 free throws a day or something like crazy like that. He didn't get there by not shooting free throws. You know what I
Right.
mean? It was work, consistent. It's just like the gym.
Yeah,
Consistency. You're not going to get swole in a day.
yeah.
You're going to get swole over 5 years of showing up every day, of eating the right shit, of doing the right shit, of being surrounded by the right people, and, you know, listening, doing it all. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't just happen in a night.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I appreciate about sports, weightlifting, powerlifting. Like, it's earned.
It
You
really
can't
is.
buy it. You can have the best gear in the world, the dopest shoes, the sickest gear. But if you're not there putting in the work Friday night
Yeah, you
when
can't
no
fake it.
one's looking, champions are made when no one's looking.
Yeah, you can't fake it for sure.
Yeah. To run it back a little bit, you were talking about just what you charge and stuff, and I think that a lot of people who, you know, when they go out on their own, don't know what to charge or how much to charge, and they feel like if they get a little bit of imposter syndrome around what they charge.
Mm-hmm.
But like I feel like the way around that is to make sure that your value proposition is equal to what you're charging. And then you can just like, well, I know I'm putting out this much, so it's worth this much. So, you know.
Totally. So yeah, if I were to break that down, right, there is something to having an hourly rate, which what you think your time is worth. And then when someone were to do a true estimate, it would be, well, what's my cost of materials, right? I'm going to buy $100 of materials. Do you mark it up? Some people mark it up 20, 30%. And that covers me going to the store.
Sure.
What if I get in an accident on the way to the store, right? On my van, well, who pays the gas? All that stuff goes into it, right? So maybe a little bit of markup. So once you find your value, but that's the $1 million question is, well, what's the value of it? You're going to pay whatever you need to pay when you got shit overflowing in flooding your house.
For sure.
Right? So it really depends on the urgency and what you're doing. There's something to be said. If I got to go under your house with a vacuum and suck up raw sewage, well, that's more expensive than if I was doing something easy, right? And so I think the key is just honesty, relating to that, and being good at communication. Like, hey, bud, if I'm going to crawl your home, which is flooded with sewage, I'm going to charge you this much. Otherwise, you do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, you got to be
I'll
fair.
rent you my tools.
You got to be
head under there,
fair,
bucko.
You know, like I'm paying off tools. Like all my stuff is expensive, and I don't want to like go down that whole wormhole. But the answer to your question is, what's fair? And if you did a good job explaining, hey, that machine you see costs $10,000, it's totally justified why I'm charging this much.
Sure.
And if I'm crawling in an attic and it's 100 degrees outside and I'm going to be in there for, do you know what it's like to be in an attic? 100 degrees, 120 degrees for 3 hours? It's like being in a car with the windows rolled up.
Yeah.
What's that worth? Otherwise, you do it, right? That Picasso sketch, if it was just an issue of pen and paper, you would have done it.
Right.
The reason you're paying me is because either you don't know how, or you don't want to, or you don't have the tools, right? And I think that should reflect any professional business. It's what you're paying for.
Yeah.
The knowledge, the experience, the professional quality, everything, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you don't get that by just opening up. You get that by the years of grind and learning and failure of what not to do. And that's where me being the lead tech for 5 years comes in. We operate out of there's a standardized book across America. They took the average prices in California, New York, Georgia, so on and so forth, how much they charge for a water heater there, here, there, how much do you charge for drain cleanings there, here, there. They took the average cost and the average time and they put it in this standardized book. So when I asked my boss, how'd you come up with $235? His answer was, well, it comes from the standardized plumbing book. So somebody at some point did a lot of informational research where they put all this into a book and they took the average time, the average cost, came up with this number. Now, mind you, that number is different for every company. My overhead is a lot less than, let's use Bonnie. Bonnie has 1,000 technicians and 1,000 vans.
They're just Sacramento?
They're
like
are
NorCal, right?
NorCal.
Yeah, because I think they were my neighbor growing up.
But Bonnie is the biggest.
I might be wrong, but I swear I grew up next to Miss Bonnie.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah,
You
like
know,
Carmichael.
in Sacramento somewhere?
Yeah, it was Carmichael. Yeah.
Carmichael. Okay,
Yeah.
so they used to be a smaller outfit. They're huge now, and they are the biggest plumbing company there ever was and will be in America. I heard a stat last year. They spent like $15 million on marketing alone.
Holy.
And when you break down the cost of overhead on a company that has $15 million, it makes sense why they charge what they charge.
Sure.
So there is a time and a place for a big, huge company, and there's a time and a place for a small one-man show like me.
Yeah.
We can both offer the same quality services. The difference is I can do it for 1/10 of the cost, but I also don't have a 100-man crew. So if you're doing a huge project as a one-man show, I can only bite off so much.
Right.
But there's value in that. If you're so I'm service and repair. I don't do new construction. I don't do, like add-ons or additions. I'll service them. I am a quick, fast hit. I clear your drains. I get you out of emergencies. I emergency response, flood damage, replacing your water heaters. When you need something now, I'm your guy. There's other plumbers out there that specialize in new construction, and all they do is do A, B, C on a new building. They do pipes, they do drains, then they move on to the next building and do that. So there's value in that. There's value in what everyone does in different areas. It's just, well, what do you want?
When you got that text from your boss letting you go or pushing you, little birdie out the nest, did some of this thought process come into your brain right away? Like, all right, am I going to scale? Am I going to get employees? Where's my niche? Am I going to go make a contract with a construction company and try to be the new builder guy, or am I going to be the repair, or I'm just going to say fuck it and I'll work 24/7 and I'll come when you're flooding? Like, did some of that come into your brain, and then how did you narrow down a decision on what you wanted to do?
So thankfully, over the course of those 5 years, I had slowly been brainstorming what I want to do when I get better. And during that 5-year journey with him, all I could think about was, man, when I get up to the plate, I'm going to do it tighter, cleaner, better, more efficient. He was very inefficient.
Yeah.
For example,
because you can see it, right? Because you're in it all day. Yeah.
Yeah. So, for example, he would pay for marketing leads, and then let's say Friday night fall asleep with his phone on. Marketing leads, when you ring, you're charged whether you answer or not. So there's $600. Miss 9 calls. Bing, 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 bing. Wake up from partying. Oh shit. $600. Bam. Yeah. Down the drain. So that was one example. I'm not going to do that. In fact, you're talking to a guy who doesn't really advertise. Here's how I did it. He fired me. He let me go. I was scared. I'm shitting my pants. I'm like, oh my God, where's the calls? Where's the money going to come from? What am I going to do? I did flyers at a Walmart where I printed out flyers and I put them on everyone's windshield. Maybe a low move, whatever, mind you, but that works. Hitting the streets.
Old school marketing.
Get your name out there. Hit the street.
Cheap.
Did that. It was cheap. Yeah. That was the name of the game. Cheap. Yeah. But here's the golden rule, and here's what I had learned over 5 years. My boss had been slowly feeding me tips and tricks. All right, when you open up your company, here's what you got to do. Here's the key. You don't need 1,000 customers. What you need is 4 or 5 solid real estate agents. What you need is 2 or 3 solid restoration companies. What you need is 3 or 5 solid property management companies.
For sure.
So property management, right? Let's use Meredith, for example. She was on a very large company that managed 10 large properties. Each property, for example, is 200 units. Yeah. Each unit.
It's a lot of shitters.
A lot of toilets, kitchen sinks, and tenants. No offense to any tenants out there. Sometimes they're not the most gentle.
Oh, they don't give a fuck.
They're renting.
Yeah, they don't give a fuck.
Hey, landlord, you got a problem. Well, what happened? I don't fucking know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What if we find a Barbie doll down here?
Drive it like you stole it, but live in it like you rent it. Yeah.
And I'm fishing out Barbie dolls from toilets, glasses. How'd that get in there?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Drugs.
Oh my gosh. So I see both the good, the bad, the best, the ugly, and it's a blessing in disguise, you know what I mean? Because I know what I don't want. I know what I want. I meet some amazing people. I get to hang out with their animals, get to twist my wrenches, be the hero. You know what I mean? So plumbing checks all my boxes. I got lucky. I'm physically challenged. I'm mentally challenged. I'm overcoming obstacles, making your problems going away. So I have to think outside the box. Like I'm critically thinking all day long. Dealing with people sometimes is good and bad, blessings in disguise.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I'm good at it. So I think that's why I've been so successful, is just my personality. You know what I mean? My story helps play the sports background. Every little bit. And you think about all your guys' life. Everything you have been through makes you who you are. I used to be embarrassed of my DUIs. Full circle, June 13th, 2013 is my sobriety date. I'll be coming on 11 years sobriety. I'm so grateful for my story and my DUIs, my failure. I embrace it. I'm thankful for it because it taught me those lessons and it made me into who I am. And the best advice I could give anyone listening is that golden rule of treating others how you want to be treated applies in everything. Business, life, relationships, kids, you know what I mean? Like, and somehow, some way we've lost that in society. Sure. You know, like when your neighbor had a problem, all the neighbors come out and help. You know, when you have a problem, depending on your support group, you are on your own, you know?
When I was a kid, our next door neighbors, because my dad worked in ag. He was a farmer, and he would be like gone overnight irrigating, whatever, and then sleep during the day sometimes. And if the lawn got long, the next door neighbor would mow it.
Yeah, that's cool.
It has. I cannot say that would happen right now, but it's taken my entire life from like we moved when I was 4 or 5, and until the last couple of years that I had neighbors that were that like close. You know, I don't know that they would mow my lawn, but they might.
What happened?
Yeah, I think there's pockets. Mom liked her neighbors. I just moved my mom to Las Vegas, and she had cool neighbors in Carmichael. But the Vegas neighbors were really cool. Yeah. Sometimes I feel like it's very city-driven and then culturally driven. Like, I feel like the West Coast is just a little bit like that. It's a little bit more selfish. My dad was from Cleveland, and all my aunts and stuff are out there, and it's still kind of like that. Everyone's saying what's up. Like, the neighbors' kids. On the street? Yeah, the neighbors' kids are just walking through the door. I was literally out there for a funeral last summer, and, like, just two kids are just walking through the house. I'm like, who the fuck are these kids?
Coming in like Kramer from Seinfeld.
They're just the neighbor kids. They're just the neighbor kids, and they just came in, like, grabbed a drink and like left. I was like,
but hey, how cool is that?
No, it was cool. It was cool. And obviously it was my cousin's house, and he knew them and loved them. Yeah, and it was all great. But that would just, I mean, if that happens out here, bro, I'm throwing fists.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's going crazy.
That sense of camaraderie, though, you know, I admire that. But
no, it's cool.
What happened?
Yeah, I was lucky. I went to a really small school, and so I got some of that growing up. Obviously, it's not the same because you're not your neighbors, but my graduating class was like 24 people. So you just know everything about everyone. I knew all my friends' aunts and cousins, and it kind of felt that. I forgot what the book is because I don't really read, but I hear a lot of things. There's some book that talks about like tribes and shit like that, and how like humans are made to be around like 100 to 200 people or 250 people, and that's one issue people think just because like our communities are too big. You know, like even high schools, right? Like there's 2,000 kids graduating from the same class. Like, how are you supposed to feel camaraderie with 2,000 people? Like, it's impossible.
There's got to be a couple of them, though, right? That you really click with?
Yeah, you might get some homies for sure. But, you know, imagine if we had cities that weren't as big or you know, communities that were as big. That's why sports teams are special. Yeah. Because the biggest team's probably a football team, and that's like max 70 maybe.
And you know what's crazy, too, for us men is that as we get older, too, our circles get fucking smaller.
Yeah, tiny.
And smaller and tighter, bro. My circle in high school, bro, I mean, I don't want to toot my own horn, but me being like a social butterfly, bro, I got along with everybody. You know what I mean? I was a jock, but I was cool with I'm cool with everyone. I'm a big nerd. I play lots of video games. You know what I mean? I'm a collector. I'm into all kinds of things. So I could get along with everybody, right? It's just
it's harder.
It's different. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a lot harder. We do. We started a couple of years ago now, doing a like neighborhood dinner every other month.
That's cool.
Pretty much been at our house, and it sort of grows like it grows through like network connections and stuff. It's not all neighbors anymore, 100%. But it started out there. Sadly, our neighbor across the street, who was like the first neighbor that we started this with, they're moving to San Francisco, and they're looking for neighborhoods and their stuff. And like, how do we find this again? How do we recreate this? And it could be a bit of a challenge.
San Francisco, we might be all right. I feel like just because like people have been there for a long time.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
like Sacramento is like just feels so much coming and going. Like I had one friend growing up whose parents were from here, but everyone else moved here.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's just so uncommon. And then now obviously it's growing because everyone from the Bay is moving here and everyone else is moving here. But yeah, I do feel it's a giant community thing. I mean, that's part of why we built the gym. Because similar things, we had great experiences with smaller communities and people, and the gym's something that's so like foundational. It doesn't really matter. Like, oh, you work out, like that doesn't make us friends, but that's like a foundation to build a friendship on.
You have a common ground.
Yeah, you have something.
You want a really cool, you guys will appreciate this, owning a gym. The day after my mom died, that morning of my mom passed away, like 2 a.m, I had my world was fucking rocked, right? Your parents just died. Where was I? I found myself at the gym. I went to the gym and I lifted, and I don't want to get emotional, but I didn't tell anyone anything. This had just happened like 6 hours. Imagine like your mom passed, boom. You're at the hospital, you go through that initial movement. They asked if I wanted to see her. I said, no, I didn't think that was going to help me, right? I go home.
Probably a good decision.
But I couldn't, right? That wasn't going to help me.
Yeah.
And I go home and I couldn't process what was, you know what I mean? So I had a 24-hour a fob for my gym in Auburn, Lifestyle Fitness. And I am so thankful for that. I went and I fobbed in. I'm there at 3 a.m. Nobody there, empty gym, and I'm lifting. You know what I mean? And I used my pain as fuel for that moment. And
what else are you going to do? You're just going to sit there.
And I don't want to get too emotional, try to like keep it together. But I had a trainer come up to me and just putting his hand on my back, I paused my lift and I started breaking down. And I had to tell someone at that point something. And what I'm trying to get to you is how cool was it that where I went 6 hours after I lost my mom was the gym. My support group, my place of security where I felt safe was the gym.
Yeah.
So anyways, the gym played a huge role in my life, in my story, in my background, you know, and the gym is a safe place. It's a good place to be. Everyone at the gym is there to better themselves physically, mentally, spiritually. You're going to network. You're going to meet people. You're going to surround yourself with like-minded individuals. So the gym is the best place to be for anyone who's looking for direction or change or something better.
Yeah.
The gym is where you'll find it.
Yeah, we agree. Because, I mean, where else do other, like, people congregate? Like a church, a gym, or a bar? Those are the only place that modern-day people congregate.
Oh, those are good points. Yeah, the church, everyone's like-minded.
Right.
Well, not everyone, but you have that in common.
Yeah.
The bar, you have that in common, right? The gym, you have that in common,
so what
right?
like-minded you're trying to be around. Yeah.
So make friends at the gym, and when you're done with your lifts, go hang out with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, surround you with them. Come eat.
Yeah.
Come meet my family. You know what I mean? Oftentimes, they're going to be good people.
Yeah.
If they're there to better themselves, the gym is the best place to be.
Yeah, I agree.
I got a question.
Shoot.
Based on some of what you were talking about earlier, what's kind of the craziest plumbing situation that you've walked into in the last few years?
There had to be like a cat in a drain or something.
So I got gross stories. I got some crazy sexual stories. Like right when I met my wife, my fiance, I asked her to marry me. It's funny how life works, right? I had this one lady, their water heater was... It'll get a little graphic. We're men. We can talk about it.
Yeah.
Kate, if you're listening, I love you. Her water heater was
Kate.
out for a week. A week. Imagine no hot water for a week.
Now it's cool to take cold showers.
In the summertime,
Yeah,
right?
now
We're
they'd
doing
be-
cold plunging.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I personally go as hot as I can take it and cold as I can take it for as long as I can take it. That's my little thing. But anyways, this lady, 7 days, she has like 5 kids.
Oh, shit.
No hot water for 7 days. Crazy. So anyways, it was a warranty part. The reason it took 7 days was because they were doing it through warranty. It was free, but you got to wait. So they sent the part. It wasn't the right part. They sent the next part. It wasn't the right part. Anyways, I finally got the water heater up and running. And quote unquote, she says, "Oh my God, I will suck your dick in the bathroom right now." She was so happy the service I provided. I'm like,
Nice.
I
I'm in the wrong industry.
So I tell my boss the story. He laughs.
I
his
trained the
ass
fuck
off.
out of people. No one offered me that.
Right. Like, where's my tip?
Yeah.
But I tell the story to my boss, and he is hysterical. He tells the story, you know what I mean? And I'm like, I gotta get out of here, kind of thing. But it's kind
He's
of
gonna
like
sign himself to that next job.
it's just like the classic start of any adult film.
Yeah.
You know what I
That's what I
mean?
was gonna say. Like the
Here
pool boy.
comes the plumber.
Yeah.
I'm gonna lay this pipe,
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's been those situations. They want to trade services for work. You know what I mean? I'm a married man. I appreciate the compliment, but I live an honest lifestyle. I can honestly, proudly say I walk away from those with my head held high, and I just take it as a compliment. You know what I mean? And there's nothing more than that. Thanks, But I just did a job about 2 months ago, and there's a drain backed up, flooded the upstairs. Upstairs flooded, downstairs, water dripping all through the ceiling, probably 10 feet by 10 feet. I open it up, I cut it to find out it's the sewer line. So it's compromised sewage water, shit water, dripping through her thing. And it's all on my gloves, it's dripping on me, right? So when a customer asks why I charge what I charge, it's a messy, dirty job, right? Long story short, they were flushing needles down the drain, down the toilet. They were shooting heroin. And I have a badass video on my Instagram. If you guys want to check it out, you'll find me on Rhino Rooter Plumbing on Instagram, Facebook, all my socials. Check it out. There's a video on there, and I do a very good job of keeping their anonymity so you don't see the customer or the house. But I did show what was potentially in the drain. I cut the pipe, and I pulled out probably 6 or 7 hypodermic needles. That can get super dangerous, super sketchy. Like, that's another thing, too. And it gave me another perspective. Imagine me reaching my hand into any old drain. Yeah. If I get stuck with the wrong thing, I'm walking away with something for life.
Yeah, for sure. And the E. coli that's in the drain, like, now getting in your blood, you're getting everything.
And even like AIDS, you could get some like life-changing, right?
Sure, rust.
So you got to be, there's smart and bad ways to do everything. Sure. I mean, you just got to be smart about it, right? And everybody deserves a plumber. The good, the bad, the rich, every walks of life need a plumber. And coming out of that job, it gave me another perspective, right? Last year, it was about open the business, grow, grind. This year, I did fairly well, so I don't need every single job, every single customer, right? But with that being said, everybody does need a plumber. In those services that I provide, everyone needs hot water and a flushing toilet. And I just put myself in their shoes. What would I like what would Ryan want Friday night? I want hot water and flush my toilet. So when you put yourself in their shoes and you remember that golden rule, but to answer your question, it's, I see the good, the bad, the ugly. I pulled out glasses from toilets, sunglasses, toys, foreign objects, kids flushed down. It's always old people and kids. Yeah. So the inside joke, and at the gas station, we had this too. Homeless issues. Well, they're pissed because it's customers only bathroom. Mm-hmm. Well, the next time they can sneak by and not see me go by, they're flushing their socks down the toilet, and they're backing up and flooding the gas station's bathroom. Same thing in like a customer's bath. It's hard to control behind closed doors what you can't see. Right? Yeah. When your kid and your 6-year-old is behind that door and it's closed, dude, they could be throwing anything down there. For sure. Right? And what do you think a 6-year-old's going to say? Did you do this? Yeah. No. No, I would never. You know what I mean? Like, and then old people too. Like when they're 85, 98 years old and you're starting to, you know what I mean? You use way too much toilet paper. And at that point, it's kind of user error. So a lot of things in plumbing, like why did it back up? Why did it fail? Why did it clog? Why did this? Well, some of it's age and condition. How does the pipe look? If the inside of a rusted pipe is rusty and like popcorn sealing, like the texture of that wall, well, it's going to snag paper products and cause backups. If that pipe is smooth, it's going to flow. You know what I mean? So what's the age? What's it look like? How did you... So they call it Brown Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. It's called Brown Friday, right? For sure. And this is true. This is another good story. For 7 years straight, every day after Thanksgiving is drain call, drain call, drain call, drain call. Every story every year is the same. What happened?
Maybe the Super Bowl too? We got a Super Bowl Monday?
The Browns party, right?
Yeah.
So I had 20 people over for Thanksgiving. Everybody scraped their leftovers into the kitchen sink, and I blended it up with my garbage disposal. Yeah. And you wonder why I'm here, right? So anyone listening, best advice, you only want water going down your drains, right? But I get it. Like, I'm realistic. You're going to wash your dishes. There's going to be some food, some water, some grease. It's going to go down. You might lose a ring, whatever. A little bit is not going to hurt. But a little bit over a long time, being consistent, well, then you have drain problems, right? So the deferred maintenance over 20 years, consistently not doing it, well, now you have a big problem. If you maybe had a plumber look at it, service something once every few years, routine maintenance, it doesn't get that bad. But when you let it get real bad, let's use roots in drain lines, for example. If you've never had a plumber look at your drain line, Well, that could be good or bad. Just because your house isn't backing up doesn't mean that there aren't roots growing into the clean out as we speak. And once those roots find their water source, they just take over. And then, so we have 4 and 3 inch pipes at a house. I see 4 and 3 inch pipes that are completely rooted. And when I cut them out and like wonder, how did anything flow? How did toilet paper how did anything get by, let alone sunglasses somebody threw, you know what I mean? So I see it all, you know, and part of my job is to educate. And that's what I love to do. I'd love to do it in my content, in my videos. I personally wear a lot of hats, but I love wearing those hats. And it's exactly what I signed up for. I know exactly what I want to do and what I need to do and how to get there. Some people, when they worry about like, why did I not do this or that? Well, it's like, what did you not do? You know what I mean? Did you post consistently? Did you target your audience with valuable information? Are your prices absurdly high? You know what I mean? So I think being able to compromise, being able to wiggle, being fair and flexible is key. And that's for anything, you know what I mean? Like balance in life for me is key.
What's some of the next business goals? So you said you had a very bigger first year than you maybe expected. Your goals to scale and get employees and chase down Miss Bonnie, or you're gonna cruise, you're gonna take your foot off the gas. Like what are the next steps, and how do you kind of approach that?
Love that question. So yeah, that's a great question. Personally, best for me on my side of the street and what I want, I can only speak for what I want and recommend. I want to stay small as I can for as long as I can. My CPA told me my profit margins this year, and part of the key points of my success was keeping the bills to a minimum, right? It's not about how much you make. How much do you keep?
Yeah, and how little do you spend sometimes? Yeah.
Keys, right? So there's something said to sacrifice. If you had a big goal, I'm going to use myself for example. I literally today pick up my van from the wrap shop. I just spent $5,000 getting my vehicle wrapped. This was a goal that I've had for a year. Yeah. You know what I mean? Did I do it could I have afforded it last year? Sure. But again, blessing in disguise for everything. So goals, I wanted my vehicle wrapped. I want to stay as small as I can for as long as I can. So I will scale my business when I have to. When I'm 2 weeks out, I'm not helping anybody at that point, right? I help people by ring, Rhino, my house is flooding. I'll be there in 30 minutes, right? Rhino, my house is flooding. I'll be there in 2 weeks. Doesn't help anyone, right? So when I get to that point and I'm so busy that I can't, so the downside of being a one-man show is I can only be in one place at a time. The upside to having a really good technician is now I can put you in a van and I can be in 2 places. But if that guy isn't worth a damn, or if he doesn't care, or he's fucking up, now I got to go back and fix his mistakes. Take my time, my money. Now I'm losing money, right? So there's a lot of things that
because then you got reputation, like he's carrying your name.
Here's a bad review.
Now you're not getting a recommendation from that next person.
And let's be real, right? Like there are good guys out there who care. I'm not saying that, but nobody's going to care about your baby as much as you.
For sure.
100%, right?
And just some people just cruise through life not giving a shit. You know, they do the bare minimums.
Yeah, and we talked about like kind of the quality of people, you know, throughout this show, caliber of athletes and different things. It is what it is.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And so that's the problem I'll have. But he's out there. He or she, they're out there like a diamond in the rough. There is some kid out there, just like me at the gas station, who I need to give a chance to, give him an opportunity, take a leap of faith, and teach what I know into someone else so that I can keep this beautiful trade going. When and how that happens, I don't think I'm there yet. Like I just opened last year. I still have a couple more things I want to do. Office space is next for me. I need this, right? So I got a 2 and a 3-year-old. They're 13 months apart. I made a comment last week. I'm trying to network. I'm doing my what do they call those? Video chat, Zoom. Yeah. Doing a Zoom meeting. My kids are screaming off. I'm doing a product review. Somebody sent me on Instagram. My kids are screaming. You know what I mean? I need a place of my own to go do business. When I'm slow, I have an office. I have Wi-Fi. I can go sit down, do what I need to do, right? So I do it out of my house right now, or in the van, or at a Starbucks. And it's just like I do what I got to do. You know what I mean? But yeah, office space is next. I got the van wrapped. So I'm going to ride that van for a couple years. But when I depreciate it to zero, it's not worth anything. I buy another van, wrap that. Hopefully it's an upgrade. I get a Sprinter. So I want a Sprinter. I eventually want a guy, but
Maybe a Cybertruck.
I've been seeing those.
Bro, a Cybertruck plumber would be kind of fire.
You think?
I think so. I don't know if it holds your equipment. I don't know what that bed's like, but if you're trying to make an impression, if my guy rolls up in a fucking Cybertruck, it's on.
Dude, okay, so that'll be my estimate truck.
I don't know. Yeah, you got to
Take
make sure
this-
shit is like actually fits. Because I don't know how functional of a truck it is. But it is a statement piece, I feel like.
I saw one at the bank.
I
the
got
other
a
day.
story. So my buddy Ken bought a Cybertruck, and he got it wrapped. Actually, he got it wrapped by Genesis, where Adrian here works. He is the executive director of this Indian energy company, and they are making deals with tribes around the country for helping them set up microgrids, because there's like a significant percentage of like 15% maybe of people who live on reservations who've never had electricity.
Oh, shit.
Never had electricity. So doing that, there is a giant Indian gaming convention going on right now in Anaheim. He drove his wrapped Cybertruck down to this conference, and he gave the valet $100 to make sure that it stays parked where everyone has to walk past
Yeah,
it.
smart. Yeah, hell yeah.
Good marketing.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
he's
Free. Well,
Yeah.
$100 market.
$100. But like, I mean, that's nothing.
That's a write-off.
on a $1 billion deal. $100 is nothing.
Drop in the bucket.
Yeah,
You know?
Yeah. I thought that was so smart. I told him he was playing 4D chess, and the rest of us are just trying to keep up.
Easy work.
So the
Yeah.
older I get, right, I was playing checkers. Now I'm playing chess. You know what I mean? Like, the older we get, the wiser we get.
For sure.
And that all comes with experience. You can't buy experience, right? And I wish in high school they taught less history, more practical. Teach me how to file my taxes. Teach me how to take out a loan, how to buy a house. Teach me what I need to know in life. You know what I mean? Because unless you're going to be a history major or a mathematician, or I don't need to know who the 32nd president was.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I got lucky that my trade landed in my lap. You know what I
When
mean?
we got fucking Google. You can learn anything.
So that if you're driven,
Yeah.
so sometimes, and I don't want to say the wrong thing, but sometimes people can give it up too easy, right? Like, there is something to being said for watching YouTube 5-10 minutes. You'll
Hell
save
yeah.
yourself hundreds, thousands of dollars.
I think that I've
Watching
referenced it
YouTube.
before, and it might be incorrect exactly what it is, but I'm pretty sure Bones Jones, who is arguably the best MMA fighter in the history of MMA, learned Muay Thai on YouTube.
Right?
That
So-
could be right. Yeah.
So if you, in YouTube, I love YouTube.
Yeah.
That platform, if you don't know how to do something, just know there's a video on it in YouTube.
For sure.
You just have to go find it. So either it's you don't know how, well now you know, or you're lazy. Don't
Yeah.
be fucking late. People are lazy.
That's easy.
Straight up lazy. So sometimes I don't want to disrespect a customer, but you probably could have done that
Yeah,
yourself,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
But there are some
Yeah, a
people.
plunger can do a little bit.
And I'm so brutally honest. I'll tell my customers, I'll come do it if you want me to, but dude, you could do this yourself. Just go over here, get this, do this, and I'll walk them through it. And some plumbers are like, Ryan, why'd you do that? You just lost money. Well, did I?
Yeah.
Or did I make the world a better place by spreading knowledge?
For sure.
Making a valuable relationship. You're going to call that Rhino dude.
Yeah, when that guy's got a real issue, he's going to call you back.
Right.
Yeah,
for
it's
sure.
easy.
For
It's
sure.
easy.
Treating you how I want my family treated.
Yeah, 100%.
Simple
Yeah.
rule.
My YouTube experience this last week was I'm regrouting the tile in our bathroom floor, and like, I thought I was gonna have to spend a week scraping that shit out, and I saw a YouTube video where a guy used an oscillating power tool
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
with just the right bit on it, and you could just like I did it in like 2.5 hours.
You do a multi-tool blade? with
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I cut a sink out with those last week. They were great, don't
Yeah.
they?
Yeah, and I know it would have taken me at least a week, and I would have had carpal tunnel by the time it was done.
You know what the old school one was? Was a scraper, and you scrape
Yeah,
each
I've
grout
done that.
line.
Yeah, I've done
So
that.
my inside joke is I would not want to be a contractor 75 years ago.
For sure.
Because them boys were working hard.
They were working
They
really
were
hard,
working
yeah.
tough. Talk about a tough generation.
Yeah.
Why are we not as tough now? Well, now, I don't know. If you see my videos, I'm pressing pipe together. I'm crimping pipe. Our drains are plastic drains. It's not cast iron, lead, and oakum drains like it used to be. They were melting lead at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And you wonder why that generation's tough. Have you ever moved a 10-foot stick of 4-inch galvanized pipe? It's fucking 300 pounds.
Yeah.
And these dudes were doing it in skyscrapers, in basements, in attics. And you wonder why this next generation isn't as tough as them. There it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But everything's changed. You know, my original point was I didn't want to be a contractor 75 years ago because it was so hard.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to be a plumber. Well, now let me toot on the trades. Anybody out there who doesn't know what to do, all you need is a high school diploma, learn a trade. It takes 4 years. You need someone to go learn. Start at the bottom of the barrel. They like go-getters and say, hey, I'm here to learn. Roofers, contractors, electrical, anything. Learn a skill. Once you have the skill, you can go anywhere. You go to Maine, Florida, New York, Georgia, wherever. It's all the same, different codes. It's all the same. It's the same. So learn a skill. And when you compare the doctor and the plumber doesn't have 10 years of doctor school.
Sure.
The plumber wins in the long run. You know what I mean? So if I could have done it all over again and had a time machine, here's the double-edged sword. Sometimes my brain plays tricks on me, and I'm like, oh, I wish I could go back and not have all my DUIs and not do this. But do you? Do I?
Yeah.
Because then I wouldn't have what I have now, right? But if I did, it would be different. Who knows if it's better or worse? So sometimes my brain plays the what if game. But if I could do it over again, I would have graduated high school, got right to my trade. I would have been a business owner for a minute now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Instead, I wasted a few years at college, this and that. So anybody listening, the trades are the future. They are only going up.
Yeah.
And with more and more people coming to California and more demand for electrical, roofing, solar, plumbing, any trade, throw a dart at a dartboard, pick that, do that, master that. Because in 10, 15 years, with this decline of nobody wanting to do the trade, it brings opportunity for those that do. So the next 15, 20 years, what happens when the boomers get to the housing? We already have a housing shortage. If we're going to have a contractor shortage as well, the supply and demand goes through the roof. So real quick and simple, if anybody looking for the future and something to do, get in a trade now and learn as much as you can and never stop learning.
That seems like a really good place to park this one. Ryan, where can people find you?
Yeah, plug away.
So social medias, Instagram, Rhino Rooter Plumbing, Facebook, Rhino Rooter Plumbing. Give me a follow. I follow back. I like to ship out my swag all across the world. Anybody who wants to get a Rhino apparel shirt, hoodie, hat, DM me, reach me out. Business number is 916-209-0939. If anybody needs any plumbing work, I do specialize in sewer and drain, but I offer anything from gas work and repair to gas line replacement, leak, water line replacement and repair, sewer line replacement and repair, tankless water heaters. I can do anything inside or outside your house at a fair cost, and I treat you like family with a smile along the way. Thank you guys for having me on the show. This was awesome.
Yeah, thanks for coming, man.
This was a blast.
Thanks for taking the time.
This is cool.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Silent Mike, where you want to find me. New episodes Wednesday and Friday. 3sb.co March 15th. Brand new sock drop, some accessories up live. April 15th. What did I say, March?
Yeah.
April 15th, Monday. So if you're listening to this, I think we are live right now. So check it out, 3sb.co, and I'll catch you in the next one.
I am at the Jim McD on all the social media. This show is 50% facts, where percent is a word and 50 is just numbers. 50% facts is a Spreaker Prime podcast in association with iHeartMedia on the Obscure Celebrity Network. And we will talk to you next time.